Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series. I'm Nathanius, joined on the desk by In Control as we get back into our winner's match for Group A. And speaking of video games, we're recovering back into the game. Erik is back online. Don't worry, guys. You didn't want to miss your match as we knew.
The whole city lost power, but apparently they got it back on in what, like 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
Impressive.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that turnaround time is
well done.
It's good. Yeah, so just recovering through the game right now. This is we have the technology that we don't need to replay it. We can literally resume from the exact moment that the game disconnected, which is very important. Yeah.
I remember when they announced that and then implemented it. It was pretty cool.
That was
many moons ago.
That was one of the best things that ever happened to this game.
And one of the most underappreciated too. Like, it's there, and everyone's
now
like,
it's like standard. Yeah, now it's like standard procedure.
But there was a time when a disconnect like that happened, we had to go into a big discussion about what you do.
Do we rematch? Do we say that he was so far ahead he won?
Any minute now.
It's almost that progress bar is at 99%. I'm just all right. Anyway, we hope you guys have been enjoying today's show. We do have one more best of 3 coming up after this. That will be the decider match. The loser of this best of 3 will be playing against MCanning.
Should be a good one. He looked good in that PvZ.
American Protoss player. The admin is asking if our players are ready. We are going to resume the game as the countdown begins.
Can you introduce the players, please, Nate? Want to get into it, please?
Jeff, I need you to introduce the players.
No, I asked you first. I need you to do it. I forgot who they are.
Okay. Well, just because I love you, Jeff. In the bottom right, the Blue Zerg player at 193 supply. He's Erik.
You're doing that. That's great.
There you go. There you go.
Commentate the game, please. Jeez.
The Liberator begins to spew laser beams from its railgun down upon the poor
Is it a railgun?
drones. I don't know.
You don't know that one?
Concord cannon.
Oh, so we don't know like the lore behind that, I guess. Yeah. Doesn't feel like a railgun though, because it shows a projectile. If it was a railgun, you could not see that.
Probably.
Holy cow! 13 drones just died.
Yeah, well, right when he disconnected, we were seeing the transition to the air command from special. He was getting up his extra star ports. You got the big tank Thor Hellbat push. And I think the big thing that we were talking about was the Hive. He was checking for it. He doesn't have Vipers. He does have the Hive, though. But without Blinding Cloud, I'm not really sure how he's supposed to stop this army. Or Abducts. Really, this army is just giant.
Okay.
And he's got Hellions in every base.
Good counterattack.
Hellions there. Hellions there. A little bit of Roach counterattack. We've got tanks in siege mode, blowing those Roaches away. A lot of Lings coming in, though, realizing that there's not actually any Hellions with the real main army. So it looks like Erik's going to try to take advantage of that. Some of these siege tanks do get caught with the corrosive vials in front.
Man. And they did do good damage there, but then, like, the second there was no Roaches to insulate for them, they just died.
Yep, evaporate. And this is really important in these Hellbats, and because he was going for a really sick flank with this. Good grab there, able to clean that up. And really just got to try to avoid the vials. But Erik is going to try to swarm over this army of Special, throws the vials down, and Special says, we don't really have a whole lot else. I'm just going to keep moving forward, siege the tanks up once again, rally the rest of the reinforcements downfield. Now, those tanks are pretty clumped. A few vials can blow most of them to pieces.
I was waiting for it, but Erik just wasn't able to get the shot off. Now with this base going down, and as you pointed out, the other base is constantly getting harassed. These drones actually might not make it out. Nope. Another 10 drones do die. Still at 62, Erik's kind of healthy there, but healthy's a weird word to use right now, I guess. He's definitely on his deathbed.
Yeah. As another StarCraft commentator might say, close to that super dead scenario. 14 Roaches on the way.
Super dead.
Mate, he doesn't have anything. What is he going to do? Although Roddy would never be so aggressive. His language now.
He's a professional through and through.
That's the dark side of the hybrid.
Yep.
My negativity combined with Rotterdam's beautiful voice.
Yep.
It's only necessary.
Something else.
You can only do that when Majin Buu shows up or something.
Right.
Vikings are on the way to deal with the Vipers. And
kind of weird that he's pulling back here, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he could push him, but he's like, am I waiting for the upgrades? Like, he's got the Hellions.
There's no indication that he should pull back here at all. He wins the fight, kills the base, and then starts mega harassing these other bases that are lightly saturated because he's so dead, but he pulls back. That's got to be some weird other sense that I just simply don't have. Now he's back over here again.
I mean, I guess overextending with mech is usually a lot more punishing than doing it with buyouts. And he's like, I just really want to make sure that I don't accidentally throw this game away.
I suppose.
He's like, with the delay, he's like, man, I got different.
But Erik is.
All Ravagers are dead. Ravagers are super dead.
He's like, just take the game already. Here's an army move commanding through.
All Vipers are.
Vipers blinding cloud for like 5 roaches maybe.
He's going for that 360 surround, and that is nope. No, it's not. That's a lot of tanks.
It's okay, Erik. You got another series, man. Tap it out.
That's a lot of siege tanks. He's got the landed Vikings, and the landed Vikings versus the Zerg. Here you go. GG. All right. Special moves out of the group 2-0. Very good gameplay by him.
And you know what, Nate? I think you touched on this a couple of times. It just looks like when a guy is as dominant as Special is over Erik for as long as he's been, this is now 14 series in a row. It's 31-2 in map score. It is tough. It is tough. Like, Special's good anyways, but when he's dominating you that way, we start to see things like, I just lost my Hellions. I'm going to land my 3rd anyways off of 8 Marines and 1 tank.
A lot of extremely greedy plays that you're like, he must really know how Erik plays in order to do that. And, well, that's why Special is so very good at StarCraft.
Nice.
And with that being said, he moves on. We have one more match today for WCS Winter America Edition. Americas, excuse me.
Thank you.
And that is going to be MCanning versus Erik. It's going to be USA versus Brazil. Should be a good matchup. Yeah?
Well, MCanning looked really good in his PvZ, and Erik looked good in his ZVZ. And you know what, against Special, unfortunately, he did play kind of a beast of a player there, but even then, he had some moments. So I'm excited for this last one. Should be a good one.
Should be a hyped up series to finish off today, our first day of WCS Winter. When we return from this break, it'll be MCanning versus Erik.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have one last series ready for you guys here on day one of WCS Winter. My name is Fear Dragon. I am now here with Nathanius.
So,
Close this broadcast out. How you doing?
man, I mean, I'm doing great because I can see MCanning's face on the screen.
That's true.
That's it. I'm just staring at it, actually. That's it.
It is mesmerizing. It is going to be a fun match, though, because MCanning played a pretty interesting series versus Tudming, showed a couple of kind of cheeky builds and stuff.
He built a mothership for us. It was beautiful. He crafted a delicious entree of Protoss power. I loved it. I loved every moment of it.
That's what he does, man. He No, gonna abandon that
No.
one. Gonna abandon that one.
Keep it going.
He did say he had a couple of extra things planned, so we're gonna find out what he's got. Erik, of course, facing off versus Special, very, very tough match, but this one is the one that he's probably feeling he can actually maybe win.
Yeah, this is, like I said, I felt like it should be pretty clear that Special was going to win this group. I like MCanning for second place, but it is pretty open. I thought Tudming, I always had a lot of respect for Tudming as a player.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he stands relative to some of the other Chinese players, or I guess even WCS players at this point, but MCanning beating him gives me a lot of confidence for MCanning to take down Erik. And
Absolutely.
yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think the other big thing is, again, MCanning was telling me he still has tricks up his sleeve, and I think that, again, is a really scary thing. If you see one series, sometimes you like to say, like, oh, okay, well, I know some of the stuff that you can do, but then suddenly completely different stuff starts hitting you. You're like, okay, wait a second. What are you going to do in the next game? It gets a little bit scarier.
Yes, it does. MCanning he's one of those players that's very good at the standard game, but as we've seen, including in the series versus Special, can break out some pretty fun strategies, knows how to micro well, particularly when it comes to units like Disruptors.
Oh, yeah. The Disruptor Control versus Special was what really let him win one of those games.
Yeah.
Which I think, yeah, he was still very much the underdog for. But we get ready to move into this Protoss versus Zerg. It's going to be Kairos Junction for map number 1. I think the game is getting started in just a few seconds.
It's loading in. I can see it. Everyone join me in staring at... Oh, okay, his face wasn't on this screen. I was ready for it. I was going to say, just join me in staring at MCanning's face
beautiful.
until we get to watch MCanning play. It's all right. I assume all of you, just like me, have a
I mean,
framed portrait of him on your desk.
any physical depictions of MCanning is not doing true justice to the original
That's fair.
image.
That's fair.
And in some cultures, it can be offensive to deface God like that.
Fair enough. Well, I would hate to deface this beautiful man in the northwest of Kairos Junction. He is MCanning.
And spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Zerg player from Brazil, back in power. It is Erik from Team Try Again.
And so here he is to try again. One more time, one final opportunity for these players to break their way out of the first group stage. This WCS Winter will be long and grueling, as many feared. It took a long time, but winter is finally here. And it's quite a gauntlet. There's a lot to go through. Round of 32, round of 16, round robin, round of 8, and then the top 6 finals. I mean, there is so much to go through. There's so much at stake, though, right? $60,000, tons of WCS
A lot of money.
points, and of course, all the fame and glory. That's what can we say? StarCraft 2 has been looking pretty damn good lately.
Yeah. And I think what's really cool about it is that this WCS Winter, it sort of acts as this opportunity for a lot of the players that maybe do better in those online tournament formats. Maybe they struggle a little bit more the offline things, or they have trouble actually going and flying out for a lot of that stuff. You don't have to worry about that until you're top 6. So we might start to see some better performances from players you don't usually see do quite as well.
Yeah, that home field advantage is always nice. Being able to play on your own setup, as nice and cool as it is at the tournaments, there's always a little bit of rust, an adjustment that you have to make. I think one of the ones where it's like, well, you can always bring your setup, can't you? But people don't realize, like, well, the desk height might just not be the same as what you're used to at home.
I feel like you might also have a hard time bringing a desk into one of the venues.
Yeah, well, that's exactly, and that's what I'm saying. You know, you can't. If you're maybe there's someone who can only play StarCraft when they have their AC running at like 60 degrees. You know.
I've always thought, you know, what if you were that person? There are desks that I think you can actually keep in a backpack. They unfold.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious. These are things that you discover when you're on 14-hour flights to Korea and you have nothing to look at except for the airplane magazines.
A 14-hour flight. You're going to Korea. Weird flex, but okay if you're a dragon. All right.
Yeah, man. Have you ever been there? It's great.
I've been to the Scranton, Pennsylvania equivalent of Korea.
What is that?
It's called Pyeongchang. He basically built a multi-million-dollar hotel for the Olympics in the middle of maybe one of the smallest towns I've ever seen outside of the United States. Beautiful, by the way, but I have not been to any actual big Korean cities.
That's great. Yeah, beautiful beach. I remember watching your stream there.
Yeah. I hope I get to go to Seoul one day.
We actually have the Adept getting some damage on the other side of the map. 2 workers killed there as the 2 Lings run in, try to be annoying, but don't manage to get any worker kills whatsoever. Scouts out the Stargate, which I guess is nice, and of course that means that this Overlord doesn't really have to sacrifice itself. Can even start retreating a bit early before the Stalker pops out, so might be able to save it.
Yeah, being able to save the Overlord there would be nice. These maps, I feel, also have this season a little bit less of places to kind of hide those Overlords. At least I've noticed it a lot in my TVZ. You have to be really cautious. Most of these spots where you can kind of tuck it aren't exactly out of range if you have a unit that can spot the high ground vision.
Oh, MCanning actually not going to find it. But there is a second Stargate on the way. It looks like the Stalkers also found that Overlord, if he's paying attention to that. But with the second Stargate on the way, this is going to be more of the Oracle memes that we saw in that series versus Tudming. Was Erik paying attention to that?
That's very important. Got to be careful. These NA players have all sorts of insane builds.
Straight out of the old school book. Something that a Protoss player named Raze really likes to do. Just going for these Oracle memes. The Stalker going to continue to try and push back those Overlords. And because there's no second Overlord on the top right-hand side, normally you're a little afraid of losing to a Phoenix. But in this situation, it's just the Phoenix won't come. And there isn't really going to be a scout on the second Stargate for a while. The Roach Warren's on the way. The Lair is on the way. More drones are on the way. At some point, though, you have to start thinking, what do you get?
Could be ugly. It's like, well, what is MCanning building? You want to know the answer to that question for your dragon? Moracles.
Moracles. That's good.
I've been sitting on that one for a few years now, so thank you. And really, Oracles, we know about the things that make them good, right? Oracles are really good at killing lots of units that are below them. There's been some great breakdowns of analysis. They switch targets when attacking faster than any other unit in the game. So if they are able to shoot at things like those drones, like those Zerglings, they rip through them extremely fast. They're not so good at chasing units, but they also have that ability damage that isn't affected by armor. So they pierce through buildings and units like roaches very effectively when you have enough of them. You kill pretty much anything when you have enough of them.
Yeah. Well, we do see a couple of roaches now on their way out. Erik up to, or getting up to around 62 or 63 drones. Hydroden is finally being thrown down, but that Hydroden is not going to be out in time for the Oracle move out, which is now coming over toward that third base. There is a single Spore Crawler there, and guess what? There's only 5 Queens. This is actually looking very reminiscent of MCanning versus Tudming. MCanning got a really big lead and had trouble closing down, but oh man. 3 Queens immediately.
You can see the
beautiful.
Power of the Oracle absolutely eviscerates the defenses here for Erik. It gets the Queens, gets the Spore Crawler, and then we will see the Oracles move on to the drones.
Oh,
now,
why are the drones retreating back?
Oh, goodness. You don't want to stand under the Oracles. As we were saying, Oracles retarget extremely quickly compared to other units and do insane amounts of damage to workers that are stationary underneath them.
Well, this is already really bad for Erik. He's going to try and go for a counterattack. He does have a bunch of roaches on the other side of the map. They managed to get in through the wall, but a Void Ray plus a follow-up Oracle, and even just the shield battery continue walling off. Yeah. MCanning is not going to be broken that easily. The third base, a little bit more vulnerable, but the Void Ray will still gradually pick away at these units.
Oracle trying to assist there, does run out of energy. However, it looks like MCanning's bringing the rest of his Oracles back. Losing the probes definitely sucks, but he got a good amount of damage back. Also, got to keep in mind, not just killing the Queens defensively, but did he get all the Queens? How many Queens does he still have?
There's only 3 Queens out, but I think they just popped, so he killed 5 of them. He did kill every Queen.
You prevent a lot of the injects then as well. You're delaying the Zerg's ability to macro, and we're kind of seeing it. Because he needs to replace all the mineral units, Erik's actually floating a little bit of gas.
Oh yeah, that's a good bit of gas, 1,000. So he's going to throw down that Baneling Nest, which could be useful. A pretty common follow-up to the Oracle stuff is to go for charge lots or to go for Resonating Glaive to depths. It is going to be charge lots in this situation. I do like that a little more.
Yeah.
But Banelings are going to be strong against that.
He still has that Oracle hit squad, so opportunities aplenty for MCanning to try and pick apart his Zerg foe. Anything that is left exposed, these Oracles will microwave in an instant. But he might just be trying to save them for a fight, I guess. He doesn't want to actually push in. He's like, okay, throw Revelation, retreat, throw Revelation, retreat.
That's kind of how he played versus Tudming too. He was doing that and he was throwing in a lot of stasis traps. So maybe favoring that a bit more as well as, like you said, Revelation. So it's a bit of one of those situations you have to kind of make your judgment call. Where do you want to actually throw out the energy?
Why do you think MCanning has skins for almost all of his units except the Oracle and the Void Ray?
MCanning is one of those guys that I think he appreciates the skins, but he also picks and chooses his skins very much.
Okay.
Individually for every unit.
Picks and chooses except for those two.
I think he specifically likes the default skin maybe more.
Okay. He thinks Void Rays just look cool on their own. I guess that's a pretty big compliment to the Void Ray.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Void Rays do look pretty nice. I like the super duper smooth rounded Oracle skin though. That's my jam.
That's the Purifier one, right?
Purifier, that looks beautiful.
It does.
But there's like, for example, there are some skins that I can't get behind entirely. Like whenever I see a High Templar without a cape, I'm like, what is that?
Oh yeah.
It's like a Zealot trying to be a High Templar.
All right.
Class of society.
Baneling speed is almost done, so is the Hydralisk range upgrade, and we have Erik moving into a Hive, while MCanning just kind of powers up back home, getting his upgrades, trying to take additional bases. Not really seeing too much harass from either player at the moment. It's that typical, we're both going to sit back, shake our hands on a little bit of NR 20, no rush 20 minutes before we get into a big battle, and then we just kind of smack our 200 supply armies together and see what happens.
Normally, I would sort of say that this situation favors MCanning just because of the start that he had and how much damage he did with his Oracles. I do wonder, though, that, especially based on the series versus Tudming, if MCanning's going to be sitting a little too defensive, he definitely has an army that's going to be made for that sort of mid-game slash...
Yeah. He's starting to
right
flea
before
beacon, but he's not. Yeah, he's starting to flea beacon, but he's not there yet. He's not at that. Oh, I've got 8 or 9 carriers with a mothership to blow you to pieces.
Definitely taking up a lot slower this game compared to that series versus Tudming. +2 weapons also getting delayed. Nice kind of usage of the Overseer there. But both these players, like you said, being awfully defensive. And I think eventually it seems like Erik is going to be the one that tries to break the pact.
Runs into these Zealots. That's a really weird engagement. They just get into this choke point in the middle of nowhere where the Zealots were actually really good.
Why were you even there?
Those Zerglings were really awkwardly funneled. There's the Prism, though. I love this Warp Prism skin, by the way.
This is a great skin.
This is the Shakuris one, right?
Yeah, it's got the extra little wings. Yeah. Only provided extra armor. Zealots warped in, and they are just going to run straight into the Banelings. I guess the bright side is...
Prism, very low, but it survives. Yeah.
Just being able to actually sacrifice a couple of Zealots for the Banelings is not always the worst thing in the world. Keeping that Baneling count low, force your opponent to remake it.
You don't want the Banes to hit your High Templar when you're building the Golden Armada.
That's...
Although I guess, you know, if he's using the Forged skins, it feels weird to say because I'm like, well, I don't know what carrier skin he has on it. I guess if he uses the default, then it would be the Golden Armada.
I'm pretty sure
but for
he has
Tal'Darim, because
he
uses the Tal'Darim skins for his buildings, which makes me want to say Death Fleet. He has Tal'Darim, it would be the Death Fleet.
Yeah, but you're right. He does have the forged carrier skins on because it has all the crystals and stuff.
Yeah, but why not use the forged Void Ray then?
I don't think he's about the thematic thing. I think he just likes the look of each individual unit.
That's weird. They all have to match. I don't know why he's not using the photon cannon skin either.
Get Marco.
You know what? I couldn't possibly hope to understand the inner machinations of MCanning's mind. So Zergling's going to counterattack towards the natural expansion. Zealot's going to go over to the last second to be able to deal with this. The carriers are coming out at the same time while a bunch of these Zerglings are stasis. There's a big mama ship coming out, but Hydralisks are here to deal with the interceptors. Fortunately, that cloak is going to make it a little bit tricky for Erik to push into this.
And he's going to have to back off now that the mothership is there. And he's going to be potentially losing this bottom center base. MCanning doesn't really want to commit to this. And in fact, these Zealots are going to scout out the Broodlords. And MCanning's going to be very, very happy knowing he's already got his carrier count starting to build up. So the fact that there are Broodlords coming out now, and he's even got those 3 Void Rays from earlier on, not a bad place for him.
Interested to see what happens with the Infestors, though. I think he had 10 on the way. There's 4 still in production. Yeah, so it's 10 total. He did research Neural Parasite. So Neural Parasite is a weird upgrade because carriers aren't exactly good at killing themselves because they have a high armor and they do the low damage, fast attack rate. So I'm interested to see how he uses them. Infested Terran are amazing, by the way, against all air units. But
Infested Terrans are super
Infested
scary.
Terrans are insanely good if you can force the fight. Of course, Infested Terrans are also one of the slowest units in the game. So
yeah. And hey, Neural Parasite or even just Fungal Growth can be really nice for locking down that Protoss army, making sure it does have to engage versus your Infested Terrans. So MCanning, he is still a little bit ahead in supply, but he's 4 supply away from being maxed out. That supply lead is pretty much gone in the next minute or so.
yeah, and he's got to deal with. Oh, that's the those are the Amon's Armada carriers, can I think? Maybe
It's hard to tell because they're cloaked right now.
yeah, it's hard to tell because of the clothes.
Well, they have the. I just remember that they have the.
Oh yeah, there's
cracked
the crystals. The
yeah.
cracked crystals. Yeah, that's the Amon Armada carriers.
Ah, okay.
Very sick. That's my favorite one.
More Infestors on the way. So he's going up to 14 and 16 Infestors soon. Remember, these have pathogen glands. I think
Mastery solo.
this base is very dead. He's just going to tap it with the carriers and back off, I think.
Easy peasy.
Yep. It's always hard because when you have this kind of army, you always kind of question yourself, should I just keep going? I have a really scary army.
Neural's an Archon. Okay. So I just want guaranteed a kill on that.
Oh, High Templar.
Respectable.
A lot of Overseers in the army, making sure that he doesn't want to lose any of that detection for the mothership.
Yeah. Stasis part of the Broodlings. By the way, Broodlings, with their timed lives, stasis does not make them live longer, tragically. They don't get to do anything, and they also die.
Is that better or worse?
I really don't
If
know.
you knew that your death was coming in the next 10 seconds, would you want to live longer?
I don't know.
But in
I don't know.
stasis?
I'm trapped for 20 seconds, but I only live for 5. What a conundrum.
It's like one of those questions a 6-year-old will ask you, like, hey,
Then you don't answer. No. You just
if you had the ability to eat in mountain or fly,
Ooh, I want to see
Oh.
the Revelation back on the other side.
that would be cute. Yeah, no energy. Zelt in the top right, going to be able to spot out one of these bases, and he's got a little supply to work with. The Dark Shrine. No, Dark Shrine's very far
still
away.
pretty
from
far
finishing.
away. But MCanning doing a great job taking half the map. I think this really favors Protoss. I think he's in a really good spot here. A lot of this comes down to how the Infestors go. If you take a fight by Infested Terran, I actually do think all those Infestors' energy of Infested Terrans kill everything here.
That time warp. Oh no, Erik!
Uh-oh.
That storm not only doing a lot of damage to those Broodlords, but also depowering the city that Erik lives in.
Goodness.
Psionic
Dark Shrine
Infest.
almost done. Whoop. More carriers are coming out. I love seeing carriers, though. I love carriers so much.
They are doing quite well.
Now this is really good, because Infested Terrans, he's not dumping all of the energy into him at once, but he's basically saying, you are not going to protect this base. Because the Infested Terrans absolutely obliterate air units they can get close to. There's a solid fungal. You don't really kill this army with fungals, but I think all he could do now is just try to dump mass Infested Terran and get out of here.
Even if you kill this base, though, this is going to be a majority of the energy for a lot of the Infestors.
I think you try to get everything out of here after this, because the Infested Terrans are cleaned up a lot of the Interceptors. There's only 32 left for 9 carriers.
Well, here we go.
Back maybe.
Fungal growth still coming down on top of the carriers. The
These storms on the Infested Terrans are really good.
Not many Infestors with the energy left over. In fact, only 8 Infestors managed to survive, and a couple of them still much further back. Now the Broodlords are just going to start getting slaughtered. The Infestors.
This looks ugly. MCanning, I think he's got this one. That counterattack, pretty brutal, but that army looks really hard to stop. Even with the lowered interceptor count, there's just so many carriers.
Yep. Oh, Stalker even blinks forward, snipes off another
Good
one of those
snipe.
Infestors.
Yeah.
Gonna kill this base. And the nice thing is, and we've seen him do this versus Tudeming, if he really wants, he can take that mothership straight over to the main, recall there, kill off the hive tech, and then just start working his way through the natural.
And the cool part about that is, you know, we're talking about Bifrost plays. You can still summon him back home with the Nexus recall after that.
Yep. Ooh, Corruptor's getting sniped off as they pop out. This carrier count, this is just too many carriers.
Yep.
This is that point that you and Jeff were talking about where
They hit the tipping point.
doesn't really feel like the interceptors come out slow anymore.
GG, I think it used to be 6 carriers.
Yeah.
Like when they had Graviton Catapult, and you know they took longer to build, and if you got to that point, it was like 6 carriers could actually destroy almost anything until unless your opponent's maxed out, and then now it's like you get up to that 8 or 9 carrier, you still have so many interceptors. It's really hard to get through.
Yeah.
And I like part of the approach. It's really hard to make that play without the creep spread though, because the queens couldn't disengage. Obviously the brood lords are slow. The only thing you can do is leave the corruptors there to fight, and then everything else still dies because they can't get away. But the infested Terrans do a really good job. You cleaned up a lot of the interceptors, but then you storm them, and they only last so long.
It's always a big question, right? I feel like you need a really intelligent Zerg player to make this judgment call of how many infested Terrans do you actually throw out, because if you throw out all of them and you spend too much energy super early on, suddenly a couple storms knock out most of the infested Terrans, and you actually don't have anything left to fight with. But if you kind of gradually start throwing them out here and there, you maybe force a couple of extra early storms, you can kind of whittle away at the energy for the High Templars too. It's a weird fight.
Yeah. Infested Terrans, for those of you tuning in, maybe not 100% sure how good they are, they're really, they've been tuned, and not to say, obviously, I don't really see them much playing Terran, but Infested Terrans have the rocket launcher for air units, and I think he was at +2, so it's something like 15 damage.
It's a lot of
They shoot a little bit
anti-air
slower. Yeah, it's a lot of anti-air damage. They're specifically good against those big units because they can punch through the armor of the carrier really effectively. And even just in this day and age, killing the interceptors is enough because they just take forever to rebuild.
Absolutely. Well, that game was all off the back of the Oracle opening there. The 7 Oracles doing a massive amount of damage, killing off every single one of those Oracle
Oracle play at the start.
So yes, that went into Mothership and carriers and kind of snowballing there, but it was all off the back of a very good start for MCanning.
Killing every queen and that many drones was
20-something drones, yeah.
Gnarly.
Well, MCanning able to lock that one down, but he still needs one more win on the board to move on to the second group stage and knock Erik out. Can Erik make a comeback? We'll find out. We're going to be starting up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. Top of the blue, Protoss player. Was once Neeb's mentor. It is MCanning.
Beast God, MCanning. And his opponents in the southeast are red Zerg player, hailing from Brazil. He is Erik.
Okay, do we see the Forge? No, it's going to be a gateway again. I'm really waiting for the cannon rush or something to happen, but
I've seen it on this map once in TVP. Is it all maps? Really, like tons of Protoss?
It's not every map, but I mean, New Repugnancy is the one that I always think of because there are some dirty placements for cannons and stuff there. This map is not too bad because I'm trying to remember. I'm like throwing back in my mind to printf streams and stuff. I believe that there's some nice placements like right around here where you can kind of get the. It's like pylon, and then if you need to, another pylon, and then cannon, you cancel the pylons, you build a gateway to wall that cannon off, and you can start moving your way
stream
forward.
of consciousness for a cannon rusher sounds like?
Yeah.
Disgusting.
You should really, I honestly think that everyone should at least spend an hour watching printf stream, because it really is enlightening how much work and effort he puts in to thinking it forward about where the cannon placement is and how all of that stuff actually comes together.
Yeah. I still think one of my favorite periods of time in StarCraft history was the rise of Galzi. We had that insane streak.
Yeah.
He got into like a day 9 daily. I think you just tune into any
that.
pro stream. You'd be like, oh, I'm going to watch Select or Idra. And then Idra is just like, I don't know what to do about this guy. He took my gas on the cannons are on the low ground, and he's building up to my base. And every pro got dunked on him multiple times. He was, and that was back in the day. Of course, things were a little bit different. You could power cannons on the high ground from the low ground.
Oh, that was one of my favorite things.
Those were what we call the StarCraft 2 Dark Ages.
It's we get some legends like that, like Galzi, or you have Action Jesus, who's another. Jeff was asking about favorite names. Action Jesus is pretty good.
Yeah. Wasn't he like the 6-pool guy or something?
He 6-pooled his way through a bunch of really good players at a DreamHack. He made it to like the 3rd or something group stage. I don't even remember what the format for the DreamHack was. I just remember he beat like 6 really good players and he 6-pooled every game.
That's amazing.
Lings are going to be able to make their way in. This is a bit annoying, but definitely not the end of the world. And killing off one of the Lings already is definitely nice, because you deny them scout into the main. Where it's going to be actually a Robo.
Yeah, I like that. I like that play. MCanning's been leaning very heavily on the Stargate for his PvZ.
Ooh.
And I feel like after that last game, he's thinking to himself, you know what? The Can Fam doesn't need to just build oracles to kill Zerg players. The Can Fam wants to do Warp Prism play. We're going to do it.
Okay.
5 gate.
5 gates.
5 gate Warp Prism. Go. That's it.
So far, remember, he has not taken the gases at the natural. Still has a little bit of time to do that if he wants to, but he's mining 1 worker in each one of these gas geysers, which is hugely indicative that you want to go for some kind of mass zealot warp-in over here. Sometimes you can do a couple of stalkers and stuff.
Yeah, spend the gas that you have left on a few stalkers, and then it's just zealots. Yeah. Big push time.
Important also to note that there are different map layouts and where the Overlord cliff is and where the gas guys are at the natural.
Yeah,
this
is
one of the
bad
maps
for the Zerg in that way.
Yeah, you can't see whether or not the natural gases have been taken. He's got a scout out much earlier on with the Ling run by, but has not seen for a while. Lair Tech is on the way. Erik is making units around 38 workers, so it seems like he's maybe caught wind of this a bit. I think he might be actually very prepared for this.
Let's see it. I mean, there's a good amount of units here for MCanning. There will be roaches. They won't have anything like speed, so we'll see how much he's willing to.
But also, I mean, the Zealots aren't
here.
going to have charge either.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance with the Lings because that creep is also so big. Good pickups.
Yeah, the Warp Prism is such a critical part of all this. Sniping off an Overlord, that does supply block Erik for a second, but 3 Overlords about to finish.
He's been blocked for a little while, actually.
Ooh.
One of those Overlords immediately gets knocked down. Don't forget the hatchery does provide a decent little bit of supply as well, just a little bit.
That's actually a pretty big supply block. He has 2 Overlords on the way, but I think it's barely going to unsupply block him.
There's another Overlord in range on this ramp.
Oh, that is a really nice wall, though. That's going to prevent the Zealots from moving up at all. Remember, MCanning stayed on just 32 workers.
MCanning looks happy with this. He's got the Forge on the way back home now. He's building Immortals, taking the rest of his gas. He's like, all right, I got what I wanted.
Yeah, third base is a pretty good pickoff. I'm still wondering if he's going to be, for example, prepared for things like
just
a
start
Spire.
2 Stargates. Just start 2 Stargates. Do it, MCanning.
Well, he has no idea, right?
He's MCanning.
That's true. If there's one thing I do have to credit MCanning for, and his Twitch channel is a great example of this, if you just go look at his top clips, he has such good game sense a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably one of his strongest
Well,
things.
when you know all of you can see everything at once.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to get fancy. He wants to get that Overlord.
Yeah. So low on hit points. Oh, okay.
He's gonna go.
Roaches got baited away. Stalker.
Stalker. NA. He has to. He got it.
And that's a supply block, too.
Yep. Nice stuck again. How many Overlords have died? Can we check that? Do we have
3?
that button?
5.
5.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that brings warms my heart.
Sees the move out. Did not spot the Spire with that warp.
This is weird because it's like the Spire's going to be the problem, but he does have Immortals coming out to deal with the Roaches at least. But no Twilight Council, right? So no Blink.
He also doesn't have that many Stalkers out on the map right now. It's 3 Stalkers, I think, maybe?
No Blink, no Archons. And that wall is actually going to be kind of weird.
The shield batteries are actually extremely helpful versus Mutas, because Muta damage isn't that high. It's the Glaive Worm bounces and gradual just picking away at units. So it can buy some time, but he needs to get a lot of Stalker Warpins. And like you said, with no Blink, he needs to buy a lot of time for that.
He needs to keep the Prism here. Honestly, it'll help him out. He does have a Twilight Council. Never mind, he just hasn't got an upgrade.
Yeah.
I say it's really important for his Prism to be here. Something has to see the Mutalisk. If the Prism dies to it, it's whatever. Okay, there you go. Zealot sees the Spire. Now you want to get the Prism out.
Yep.
But Mutas are going to go straight for that.
Yeah, I think he might have been waiting for a recall. He throws down the double Stargate and pops up Blink, chrono boosting that out. Now, there will be this minor bit of time where he is going to be dealing with the Mutas with absolutely nothing but just slow Stalkers that don't have Blink or anything. But in about a minute and a half, he should have the answer to these Mutas to completely shut them down.
It's one of the other things the patch helped with, too. In a situation like this, throwing down the Stargates, Blink being cheaper makes it easier to kind of get everything together to respond to an attack like this in PvZ.
Yeah, you can afford that and also still go for your double Stargates or even single Stargate if you need to. And I actually really like that MCanning is not just getting hyper-focused on, I need to kill the Mutas, and just devote all of my attention and being to killing Mutas. Because he's also thinking, okay, but a lot of the time Zerg players will transition out. So let me get up this Phoenix, but let me also get up Robotics Bay.
Yeah. Well, especially with the 3 Immortals that he's already got and the number of Zealots, I would say just get charge after. But MCanning is not playing around. He's going to immediately get the Fleet Bacon as well.
Oh man, yeah, that's going to allow him to get that Anion Pulse Crystal super duper quick. So even just a low number of Phoenix should be able to completely zone out these mutas. There are 10 out now, so Erik committed just that number and is going back into Roach production as well as droning. Erik is still behind on workers, and neither one of these players actually have a completed third right now.
Not third base so late for the Zerg too. These situations are usually never good for the Zerg player when you're on an even economy with a Protoss like this, especially in this kind of weird spot. Since the Zerg economy, the way that the macro mechanic, it doesn't really scale that well if you don't have at least 3 bases.
Okay, so MCanning finally starting up Anion Pulse Crystals. Is he gonna wait for Anion Pulse Crystals before he tries to take on those mutas? Sometimes I do get that because it feels like you're getting free damage done when you have Anion Pulse Crystals and you outrange the mutas.
Yeah,
it feels like the mutas
time,
actually do nothing.
Yeah, because at the time is also another thing to consider, right?
Yeah. There's a Hydra Den on the way. +1 flyer tax, interestingly enough, is being researched. Erik? So technically...
Thinking about the late game?
MCanning technically never revealed the Phoenix, I think. He's kind of done an active job of hiding them and never actually pulling them, but now he's finally revealed them. The mutas come forward. Anion Pulse Crystals is 5 seconds away from finishing. If he just chases right now, no, he sticks around to try and deal with the roaches.
He really wants the third base. MCanning's
Yeah.
prioritizing that over everything else, which I can understand.
Yeah, totally. The Zealots are starting to get picked off over here. That does sort of suck for MCanning because he needs a frontline buffer, needs some force shields to prevent these roaches from jumping on his Immortals.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. All these units are going to get straight up into his face. And the Stalkers, I mean, if you blink those away, your Immortals are going to die. So he goes for the recall, and it looks like, did all the Immortals survive? Okay, one of them died.
Yeah.
And now the Phoenix are going to come in, grab the Ravagers.
Yep, get some value pickoffs. And since the Phoenix have all been revealed now, really what they want to do is they want to just find and pick off all the remaining mutas, and that should be pretty easy. Get some majority of them. A couple of slow Hydras maneuvering around the map.
And the MCanning Patronus is on the way. Disruptors.
Actually, once he picks up these mutas, the Hydra count is not that high. He has enough Phoenix to lift up all the Hydras and still kill them.
Yep. So a few more Hydras on the way for Erik. We have a little bit of slow Zealot harass.
Yeah, he has
What's with MCanning and not getting charged today, by the way?
I don't know. That's a stylistic choice, man.
I guess.
You gotta give your opponent.
He's calculated that slow Zealots are actually better. He's figured it out.
There you go, man. Alpha Star is gonna be popping in no time.
That's right.
A couple of roaches making their way forward, trying to deny a third base again, but it does come down in time. The Phoenix lift up those roaches. Not that many roaches behind that, so he's gonna have to back up, and there are the Disruptors coming out in bigger and bigger swaths. Erik is gonna need to come up with some kind of answer to this, and it could just be micro. The answer can actually just be really good micro and splitting, but you're up against a guy who goes for Disruptors on a daily basis. You need to have really good micro to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, if MCanning was to be turned into a robot when the eventual AI takeover happens, the AI would just put him in a Disruptor. That's what he would be, you know?
It'd be the actual MCanning would just be only the Disruptors in the game. He'd be the Disruptor agent.
He'd be a hero Disruptor, yeah, exactly. He'd be the one with the Purification Nova that splits when it hits and everything.
When this Purification Nova explodes, it actually releases additional Purification Novas.
One each for every unit it hits.
That'd
In
be
his case, it's going to be like a dozen, so it's pretty terrifying. You don't mess with MCanning.
Third base is finally up here for MCanning. He's been sitting on that lower work account for quite a bit of time, and funny enough, he is going to be making more workers, but he's at that point now where the game has gone to the 13-minute mark. He's oversaturating his bases, so he can actually afford to just transfer them over and pretty much be good. Couple of roaches getting caught. It's not a huge deal that these roaches keep getting caught, but Erik has really not been able to make any of these roach counterattacks do too much for a while, so he keeps bleeding out these units here and there.
Yeah, MCanning's supply's been going up pretty slowly, though. It's kind of hard to see a situation where he can make a big push without the Disruptors landing an insane shot. He's putting all of it onto the Disruptor micro. It's what he's famous for. It's what he's known for. It's why terrorists fear him.
He's giving the people what they want, man. People see MCanning, they want to see a disruptor. The man delivers. But still got to make the delivery happen. Here at this third base, if we can shut this down, that could very well just almost secure him that victory. Stalkers blink forward.
Wow, really aggressive stuff, blink.
Oh!
Well then.
Still got some more disruptor shots, Erik. You can't actually move in that easily just yet. Now it looks like he's finding the opportunity. Most of the disruptor shots have gone, but at the same time, there is a big Roach run by behind the mineral line. MCanning taking a lot of damage, but he's also dealing a lot of damage, but mostly to the army, not to the economy. He's got to keep pushing forward, but he recalls back.
He really wants to protect that base. He lost 26 probes in the midst of all of this. MCanning only has 27 workers left. That's extremely painful. He's got such a powerful army now, but he lost all of his economy to make this happen.
Keeping the disruptors alive is big. He can still make those push shots, but he might be relying, and like you said, forcing himself into a position where he has to get the big disruptor hits again. And now we got Vipers out. Now we have a few more challenges that MCanning is going to be facing in this next wave of offense.
Yeah, it's going to be all about, I think, the Viper pulls, really, because otherwise it's a battle of the Viper pulls versus the Disruptor micro, because the Disruptors can kill everything on the ground, but MCanning does not have the economy right now to play this game if it continues to go on much longer.
His posturing, moving over to that third base, but now even if he snipes off that base, there is also a fourth base, and that is just how badly MCanning's economy was hurt. He has the photon cannons and the shield battery there, but that didn't actually prevent the Roach run by. I guess once again, the saving grace here is that MCanning doesn't really have many resources left in his natural. Disruptor shots going off, not actually landing or connecting with too much. That one is a big one, though.
That's a pretty gnarly shot. He gets another one a little bit close, but the Abduct cancels the Disruptor pickup so far. The Phoenix are going to run in and try to contribute to this fight as well. They will die to the Parasitic Bomb. A lone Archon tries to be a hero, but it's not going to be enough. Warp Prism trying to get away. It's not able to. And Erik suddenly making something of this game. MCanning's like, all right, I'm going to get Charge and Storm now, but it's going to be very hard for him to make this transition. Man, that one Disruptor shot was going to kill half the Hydralisks before the Viper abducted it.
Clutch Viper pull there from Erik. And even the Parasitic Bomb doing so much damage to MCanning, because as much as MCanning does, of course, have the ability to split up and dodge versus the Parasitic Bombs, when you're controlling 5 Disruptors and you're trying to micro your Warp Prism around, and you're trying to warp in more units, and you're trying to do all of this other stuff, also trying to control your Phoenix properly and split them up versus Parasitic Bombs, it's just a bit much, man. Even for MCanning, it's a bit tough. So Erik really able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, Erik at this moment is like, oh yeah, I don't have a Baneling Nest, so I guess this Lingbane Hydra thing is going to be a little tricky to do. But there's only a single Disruptor, which unless it lands smack dab in the middle of all the Hydras.
There's Storm now, and a lot of High Templars.
Okay. I see it.
You can also feed back those Vipers if they get
5 Vipers is also quite terrifying.
Yeah. And I like that MCanning has been so consistent about these run bys. Oh my god, those Storms! Nearly being as good as a Disruptor hit. Those Hydras will gradually start regenerating some hit points, but it does really make Erik think twice about it.
Yeah, that was painful. Kind of want to bring the army back, let him heal up. And it's so weird. He's in a tough spot. The Greater Spire is almost done. Corruptors are coming out. He's making this transition to deal with the ground units, but the fight's going back into the air.
Yeah, this is the really, really well played position for Erik, because he knows when a Zerg player is able to get ahead in these kind of spots, if you can get up the Greater Spire, most of the time the Protoss player is just struggling to survive. And if you don't actually have an answer to the Broodlords, usually if you don't even have your Stargates really started up by the time the Broodlords are out, you kind of just die. It's really hard to make a whole lot happen against it, unless your opponent makes a big flub and just lets your Broodlords kind of go undefended and Stalkers appear underneath them or something. But I don't think that's going to happen
this
that
army
easily.
Is not really even that many Stalkers.
No.
Like, the problem is you need the Storm to deal with the Hydralisks, and then past that, you're not getting your Archons underneath the Broodlords. That's not a thing.
Well, MCanning does have his 4th base finishing on up.
He does still have the Fleet Beacon, so there's a world where he could, if he had the money,
and 2 Stargates.
but it's just, he doesn't have the money. He's just broke.
I think Tempest are what he has to do over here. He's going to make the push right after the Broodlords have finished up, and oh my god!
Wow!
That Disruptor is the King Disruptor, 26 kills, and a lot of those Hydras.
Is that enough, is my next question.
Well,
There's still too much.
It's going to force Erik to maybe spend a little more time before he goes in for a big attack.
Last Disruptor's dead. Actually, those Broodlords are a little bit forward out, I
Ooh.
think. Link counterattack doing a lot of damage, though. He's gonna blink out of the Broodlords.
Yeah.
Blinding Cloud shuts it down, though.
Yeah, the Blinding Cloud is really big. The Broodlords all get very low. If he gets another round of Stalker Warpins, he might be able to make something happen here. The Broodlords are once again getting very far forward. Stalkers only have to deal with the weakened Broodlords, even with the Storms, though. It looks like all those units are going to be taken out.
Erik ties the series up, and we are going to Game 3 in our final match here at WCS Winter.
Yeah, quite an exciting last game. Really, really well played by Erik, being able to kind of maintain that composure against a constant Zealot harassment. I have to really commend MCanning for trying so persistently about doing all these small little attacks, just the 1 to 3 Zealot run-bys. But Erik has just been shutting them down nonstop that game.
Yeah, I mean, the late charge also really, I feel like, I guess his composition idea was Blink Stalker Disruptor, but for me, it always feels weird to see a Protoss player not have charge early on versus Zerg because Zealots are so effective, and he got attack upgrades, so. Yeah, wow. You know what really hurt, I think, so much was he had 3 or 4 cannons and a shield battery at that third base.
But they were all in front of the base.
They were all in front of the base, and like all those roaches ran by, and he killed every single probe. Painful.
That was tough.
That's painful.
That was some feels bad, man. That hurt my Protoss.
His disruptor shots were really good, but after his economy got eviscerated, like he never bounced back.
The disruptor shots kept him in that game.
Yeah.
Completely. But ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we're going to be going to a short 4-minute break before we go into game number 3 of this last best of 3 series for the day. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving into game number 3 of our last series for day 1 of WCS Winter. It is still going to be MCanning versus Erik.
The players have not changed. We did not decide to do that.
No, we thought about it. We were like, you know what? Could we sub in?
Let's just have me and Fear Dragon play out the
Yeah,
final
because
match.
that would be really fair, right there. That's that matchup of you versus me.
Yeah, you cannon rush me. I'm bad against cannon rushes.
Are you?
Yes.
I don't cannon rush well under pressure. I've tried. Look, I don't know if you saw my
Okay to
caster
have
I
performance
don't know if you
anxiety.
saw my caster invitational games versus Jim Rising, who is just a commentator. All right.
Yeah, he's just a commentator.
Just a
He
commentator.
was never a salaried pro gamer. No.
He's not still a salary.
We're loaded in for the final map of WCS Americas. In the bottom left position, we have the blue Protoss player representing your hopes and dreams. He's MCanning.
His opponent spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map. It is our red Zerg player from Brazil. He is Erik. With a K, not a C.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever met an Erik with a K before.
I have. Didn't like him. I like this Erik though.
Wow. Some dark,
This Erik's
I didn't know you had a dark side to you, Robbie.
a cannon rush every game needs. Was that not my dark side?
No, it's a video game, man. You can do whatever you want, man. That's literally the point.
I make Dark
can't hate you
Templar
for how you
the
enjoy
other
your
games.
spare time. How can you hate someone for how they play a game? It's literally meant to be fun. Just do whatever you want. That's the entire point, Fear
Okay,
Dragon.
so
Don't ever let anyone talk you down
so
for being a dirty cannon rusher.
So sometimes when I am playing, I play team games with Maynard and Pig. So I'll set my server preference to Australia. But when I go to 1v1s, I'll keep it because I'll match versus people who live on the East Coast, and it increases their ping, so they react slower to my Dark Templar.
Oh, that's not necessary to play the game, Fear Dragon. You've crossed back into evil territory.
There we go, man. I just need to establish that. I have a persona to keep.
God, that's awful.
You can actually, I can back this up.
This guy
You'll go ask
VPNs to Siberia so that his ping on NA is so bad people get dragged to the Singapore server.
There you go, man. And I'm like, you know what?
You're a terrible human being.
We're turning this
back.
into a mud fight. We're turning this into one.
Take it back. You're an awful person.
I'll drag you down with me.
All right.
Well, Sixling's going to be coming on out and ready to try and intercept a Adept. And he is going to be that.
Presumably, yeah. There's the Adept.
You know, this map really messed with me because for the longest time, I thought this kind of
I
crater.
thought the crater was unpathable.
I thought it was unpathable. I thought it was unbuildable.
You thought
Who
you
would
could
build
build
on
on the crater?
Who would build on a crater?
I mean, you got to rebuild when craters hit, man. You can't just, you know?
Yeah, after you terraform it.
I guess that's true. You probably would need to bring in the landscaping company for the crater before you built over it.
Probably going to be saved by the Adept. I like that there were a couple of Lings trying to be sneaky and move along the north side and avoid the Adept, trying to get the run by, which he got in the last game as well. And MCanning does retreat back, though, expecting that the Lings are going to be there, so it looks like he's learned from that last game. Cleans it up.
Nice. So we have the Stargate on the way. Overlord is going to make its way to the main base of MCanning. We have a Baneling nest lining up with Zergling speed.
Oh, that's a lot of Lings also
And a
being
lot
made.
of Lings on the way. Now, Oracles happen to be pretty darn good against this type of style, but I think you might need to throw in a shield battery and an extra gateway. Can a gateway fit to block that in this wall up?
To fit to block what?
If you can build over the crater, then you
Oh, yeah.
could you squeeze another gate in there
I
to
think
wall
you
off against
can.
the link flood?
I
That's what it was?
always get messed up by where exactly the wall is. That's why I just wall my main base in Canada.
The only Protoss stream I usually watch, other than MCanning's, is Rotterdam's, and the walls never do anything on that stream.
Roddy is the person who has the most unorthodox walls ever. Oh, the Oracle got so close to scouting out the Banelings. He's now going to see him. He is going to have some time. He can focus right on those Banelings with the Oracle. He's not actually going for that right now.
Needs the wall. Needs to build the wall. There we go.
Okay.
He's got a couple of these extra buildings in the way. No big buildings, though, so the Banelings will be able to break through, and that pylon is going down.
And this is always doom and gloom mode right now for the Protoss player. He is going to get the re-wall off, start it up immediately. He also has enough minerals to start up a second pylon.
He hasn't lost that many probes. He's still ahead 15 workers. So
that was actually really, really well done. That catch
He pulled the probes off. Yeah, he pulled the probes off to fight just fast enough, and the Lynx kind of ran through him first, so all the probes got like 1 or 2 free hits. Really, really big play there from MCanning.
And remember that this is a pretty committed attack here from Erik. He's trying to drone up a little bit behind this now.
Suddenly that 14-second faster warp gate does make all the difference.
Oh yeah, because he is going to be losing that cybernetics for right after.
That's pretty crazy.
He gets 1 adept. So remember that with this cybernetics core going down, he can't warp in sentries or stalkers. He can only warp in zealots. And if it is just more banelings coming forward and depowering the pylons, oh man, he was maybe 1, maybe 2 banelings short of killing those pylons.
I don't know how Eric's supposed to do it now. He's just starting to build drones and spore crawlers, but he is so far behind economically.
Yeah.
MCanning is rolling in that cash money, Fear Dragon.
He's going to be cashing in pretty soon. He can warp in some more Zealots on the outside. Still needs to wait for the Cybercore to finish before he can do anything. Like throw up shield batteries if he was really paranoid. But that's the beauty of having 4 oracles, is that you can go across the map and scout everything your opponent does relentlessly, and they can't actually hide anything from you.
The Oracle's really scary in this situation, especially once you realize, like, oh, he's not building more banelings. Okay, so I just power up. He should have had basically no drones to make this attack work, which, by the way, he didn't have. He still doesn't really have that many drones. Zerg players should not be down, upwards of 10 workers versus a Protoss at any point in the game.
Yeah, usually as you're a Zerg player, you're either down in workers or you're down in army or you're even. And in this game, he's down in workers and army. So not looking good. MCanning with that hold. Seems like he's going to be in a very good spot to push in here.
Yeah, I love this. There's really not a lot here. The number of oracles will vaporize all the Zerglings, and then these stalkers and the adepts should be able to do everything else too. You don't want to fight at the spore.
Yeah.
That's about it.
There are 5 spores as well, so I think that MCanning, the thing is, he's going to try and push back these Lings. He's going to try and kill off a bunch of these queens. He might be able to end the game right here, but even if he doesn't, Twilight Council coming down behind this.
It's hard because
Robo.
He tries to pull back the oracles and use the hold position command so that they don't all shoot at the spore crawler.
Oh, that Oracle survives.
And there's more banelings on the way. A lot of Lings. And the oracles are out of energy, so
I don't know. Killing off a few more of these banelings. There's only 1 baneling that finishes. It gets a shot off and kills nothing. And now it's just bare drones for a Zerg player that's already down in workers. This is a tough spot to come back from. Erik's going to try and make the hold work. He is killing off oracles. We're starting to see a lot of MCanning's air units starting to go down, but the adepts, the zealots, the stalkers, they're holding strong.
There's just way too much now, and he's got a warp prism coming in. He's got charge on the way. MCanning did a good job of building up behind this. Yeah, this one should be.
What a guy, man.
It's all, as Mr. Bitter would say, it's all over but the crying now, Fear Dragon.
The American dream, man, from rags to riches. He went from a situation where he was getting baneling busted and looked like he might be losing some of those workers. Pulls himself out by his bootstraps.
Yeah, that's just classic MCanning. You see the American flag draping between those oracles, holding it up together. Beautiful sight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you might think that he is just a blue player, but he knows that his opponent's red because he's representing red, white, and blue. The white is somewhere.
Amen. Amen. And I mean,
I guess the white is on those zealots.
I guess. There's white highlights on a lot of units.
Close enough.
I'll take it.
Okay. Looks like the zealots might actually get cleaned up here right before he kills the lair, so that would kind of suck, but again, it is damage already dealt so far. It would have been a bonus.
I believe the technical term in StarCraft commentary for this scenario is super dead.
But still, super dead.
Yeah. Not bad, but still, super dead.
Okay, well, Erik, I know you've put up a valiant effort so far in morphing in 8 banelings.
He had a great WCS debut. You know, Erik definitely showed us some really good StarCraft, but he comes in as a player that definitely underdog the group. MCanning, the American hero, you know, it's a good story that he doesn't wipe this group too easily. Squeezing out in 2nd place definitely fits the MCanning motif, so I'm all for it.
Yeah. MCanning is all about the comebacks, man, because he wants to give the audience a little bit of excitement. He could have maybe made it out 2-0 over Special, but where would that have left the Special fans? Where would that have left the MCanning fans with less MCanning?
Yeah, there were more MCanning matches to watch because of that, so.
This guy knows branding.
He's good.
He's good.
Oh, he's good.
Congratulations, MCanning. He's going to be moving on to the next group stage alongside good old Special.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So you guys can see over here, here is the finalization of the groups. You end up seeing pretty awesome day of StarCraft.
Surprised to see Tudeming go out 0-2. I came in with a little bit higher expectation of him, but all in all, Special and MCanning, definitely the two most popular, well-known players in this group, making their way out. Two players I can't wait to see both of them play as WCS Winter progresses forward.
That's going to be a lot of fun, and of course we do have more StarCraft coming your way
yeah.
tomorrow at the exact same time with both Europe, which is going to have players like Hero Marine, like Mana, like Shadow, like Skillus.
More your favorites. And the other best part about WCS, new players as well. Skillus, I don't know anything about this guy, but he's playing versus Hero Marine, so I know I'm interested.
He's been a ladder hero, man. I'm so happy to see him coming up. And then, of course, the America section is going to be happening immediately afterwards, just like it did today. And that, in fact, is going to have some really... It's going to start off with a really funny match, which is Scarlet versus Peely.
A huge fan favorite, Scarlet playing.
And that does answer the question for those who are wondering, is Scarlet playing in GSL and also WCS? And the answer is yes, she is able to play it in both. Peely also making his renowned comeback after going off and taking a break to do weightlifting for a bit and also finishing his school and
He's
stuff.
Just trying to get
So you know what? He's like, you know what? I think I'm still pretty good at StarCraft. Let's see what I can do. So that's going to be fun. And, of course, Expect and Epic, both really good players as well. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it.
Can't wait, Fear Dragon. Can't wait.
Well, unfortunately, Nate, you will have to wait because we will be back tomorrow. But until then, adieu and enjoy your StarCrafting.